Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
And it's a pleasure to welcome you into the Fairways of Life show, wherever you're joining us from coast to coast across North America, or those of you joining us around the world. I will admit to you, it's one of these shows today. We have more to fit than we're going to have time to do. Coming up, you're going to hear from one who was trying to make history. It is another major championship this week with the Chevron, and what Nelly Korda is trying to do is absolutely historic. Now, yesterday she addressed the media. Yesterday, Stacy Lewis, the United States Solheim Cup captain, also addressed the media, and it raised some interesting thoughts. And we're a golf talk show, why not? And it comes down to responsibilities of top players. Right, because the template of Tiger Woods, the template of Phil Mickelson that top players to this day continue to follow, save for very, very few, is that you basically remain insular. When you are in a public forum, you mostly talk in platitudes. And if it's other than that, it's for a very, very good reason. Usually the gatekeeper of access to players at that level of the game are through their agents. And by and large, from what you have found, agents make decisions based upon how it equates to money. So players are protected from the fray. Very difficult to get time, very difficult to get interviews. Thank goodness we have different forums and platforms in the game today, whether it's Barstool or, say, a No Laying Up, whoever it is, that get access to different players. Golf.com's doing a nice job with their one-on-ones with players on the range, etc. But that's unusual. And the reason why those are happening is because of the massive platforms that those entities thankfully possess. So the discussion was had and came up about what are the responsibilities from a top player outside of the pursuit. Now, if that pursuit in any ways diminishes focus and performance towards their historic pursuits, then is it not justified to provide balance journalistically to this question? So that is something we're going to address today. You probably heard the rumors that have been swirling over the last few days. It was prompted by City AM, which is a UK-based finance and business publication. They put out an article that Rory McIlroy was imminently moving to LIV for a massive sum of money. It was quoted as some $850 million. And in the article, amongst other things, they noted that I guess Greg Norman was following Rory during the Masters. I didn't see him, but that's what they said. What's more, they quoted Rory in recent press conferences where, honestly, he was vague about the prospect of considering a move to LIV. Well, Todd Lewis caught up with Rory McIlroy yesterday, and any gray area in that question as to where Rory is going to stand relative to LIV and the PGA Tour, Rory wanted to clear that up.
Well, Rory, there has been some buzz in social media circles and media circles that you have been offered and contemplating a move to LIV Golf with some pretty astronomical numbers. What's your reaction?
I honestly don't know how these things get started. I've never been offered a number from LIV, and I've never contemplated going to LIV. I think I've made it clear over the past 2 years that I don't think it's something for me. Doesn't mean that I judge people that have went and played over there. I think one of the things that I've realized over the past 2 years is, people can make their own decisions for, whatever they think is best for themselves. And, who are we to judge them for that? But personally for me, my future is here on the PGA Tour, and it's never been any different.
Do you have any idea of the origin of where this comes from?
No idea. I think over the last 2 years, there's been so many rumors of guys, and I think, you need to, I think the one thing that I've realized as well is, guys need to keep an open mind. And I'm sure there's been players that are still playing on the PGA Tour that have talked to, the guys from LIV and had offers and whatever. But I have no idea. We've never, it's never even been a conversation for us. And, yeah, it's one of those things. It's unfortunate that we have to deal with it, and this is the state that our game's in. And but yeah, I mean, I'm obviously here today, and I'm playing this PGA Tour event next week, and I will play the PGA Tour for the rest of my career.
Why is it important for you to play on the PGA Tour, to end your career on the PGA Tour?
Tradition, legacy, the people that have come before us. I think that's the one, the big thing that I've always talked about with staying on the PGA Tour, and being able to be a part of tournaments like this week, and watching Davis Love win this event so many times growing up, or watching some of the the traditional historic PGA Tour events where the people that have come before us that have won, and if I'm lucky enough to win those events, see those names on the trophies that I'm winning, that's a big deal to me, especially with with how much tradition there is in our game, and also the PGA Tour has been an unbelievable platform for me to not just showcase my skills, but to also try to impact the communities that we play in. And if it wasn't for the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, there wouldn't be, I'd still be Rory McIlroy, but I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
And after coming from the Masters, where LIV guys were playing alongside PGA Tour guys, you've been pretty vocal in that you're wanting this fracture to heal. Yeah. You're still holding that stance, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the game is way better with all of us together. There's obviously some really good players on LIV that would be a great addition to the field this week, that and they're not here, and that's unfortunate. And I think just for everyone, I think for the players and their competitiveness and wanting to play against all the best players in the world, I think about the fans and wanting to see all the best players compete against each other. I think about media partners, I think about sponsors, everyone involved that is sort of like a stakeholder of the game. I think everyone would benefit from us all coming back together.
Final thing, it's called competition. You come from the heat and the intensity of Augusta National to the island vibe here at Hilton Head Island, but still a very tricky golf course. What are your expectations from this golf course and from the competition here at this signature event?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Augusta's over for all of us, and like another wonderful week for Scotty. I mean, he's just he's hands down the best player in the game right now, and he proved last week why. But this is an important week for a lot of us to get ourselves up the FedEx Cup rankings, to try to put another good week on the board, and really try to get some momentum for the rest of the season. And it's a huge event. These signature events are a big deal, and it's good to be a part of them. And hopefully I can put in a good performance this week and keep moving up the board.
Thank you, Rory. All the best.
Cheers, Todd. Thank you.
So big stuff from Rory McIlroy in terms of kind of driving his stake in the ground and saying where he is going to play, but also backing up what he has been saying a lot, at least of late, which is the game is better when everybody is together, keeping that theme going. As he mentioned, this week is a signature event. Let's take a quick look at some of the marquee groups. I call them notable groups. I mean, every group is marquee in the signature event because of how difficult it is to get in and to maintain the position in these. And you could see some of those there. Not sure where your favorites lie. All these times that you're looking at, you can see noted Eastern Standard Time. And there's a number of them there that are stand out to me. At 1:40 p.m., you can see Ludwig Åberg and Rory McIlroy will be off. But take your pick. The asterisks on there mean they are part of the featured group coverage for this week's event. As I mentioned, again, it is a signature event. Now, what's happening on the LPGA? First of all, it's of note because it's a major championship, right? But what Nelly Korda has done, winning 4 consecutive starts. You have to go back to, Nancy Lopez winning 5 consecutive starts for us to have a comparison in terms of size and scale, seismically, with what it could mean to the LPGA because of who Nelly Korda is, what it means. So Nancy Lopez won 9 times in her rookie season. That was 1978, and 5 times in a row. You go back to Lorena Ochoa, who won 4 consecutive starts in 2008. The last one to do it going into a major was Annika Sorenstam, who did it in 2004 and 2005. And I think we're starting to get into the territory of people like Lorena and people like Annika in terms of the significance. But what does it mean to Nelly Korda, and what responsibilities does she carry as a result of this platform that she is now on and what she's accomplished? Here she is addressing the media.
Listen, I feel like for me, the way that I promote the game is just the way I am. I am very true to myself. I'm never going to do something I'm not really comfortable with. Obviously, I love seeing all the kids, and I love promoting the game. I mean, there's nothing more that I enjoy more, but I'm always just going to stay true to myself, and hopefully that way I do promote the game. Yeah, I think spending time with family, spending time with Jess, haven't seen her in a really long time, and then getting to spend time with Grayson was so nice, getting to recharge the batteries. Obviously, you know, when it's just a week off, you feel like you've just done your laundry and you're repacking it again, so it flies by really fast with, like, trying to get some rest, practicing and working out. But, you know, having my sister come in for those few days really, really helped. Gosh, I don't think anyone can ever say anything bad about Scotty. I love his morals. I love his attitude out there. I just love the way he goes about his business. He inspires so many around him, including myself. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, as he even said, he wants to win every tournament he tees it up in, and that's every girl that's out here competing too. And I think that you just have to go about your business. You can get lost in the articles, you can get lost in the expectations, but I think if you just stick to your true self, I feel like you can live in your own little bubble and enjoy it a lot more. Yeah, I mean, in 2021, I went on a run, and then in 2022 and 2023, golf really humbled me. So I think that they're sports. There's ups and downs. I mean, every athlete goes through the roller coaster, but that's what makes this sport so great. You mature, you grow so much, and you learn more about yourself. So you never take these weeks for granted. You always, try to appreciate and become very grateful for them. And it makes just all the hard work so worth it. But I think I've learned so much about myself even through the losses.
I remember in your 2021 run, you talked about your dad having a boot camp for you.
Yeah.
Kind of hit the reset button. What advice has he given you during this unique stretch in your career?
Honestly, just to enjoy every second of it. The careers go by really fast, and there's so many highs and lows in a career, and to just be grateful about it all and very humble. Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously I'm so grateful and happy to be in this position that I could pull off 4 wins in a row, but I feel like in sports, you're always kind of looking ahead. You're always looking what's next instead of reminiscing on what has happened. So again, I'm so grateful for my team that we all kind of live in our own little bubble, that we honestly take it a shot at a time. And that's what I'm going to be thinking about, because I think added pressure isn't always a good thing. I was actually talking, before my first ever LPGA win, I was talking with Hollis Stacy on the putting green at Concession. And I was out there putting, doing a drill, and she always comes up to me whenever she sees me out there. And she was just, I was just talking to her about, obviously that I haven't won out on the LPGA Tour. And she just said, when the time is right. So I put that in my yardage book that week that I won in Taiwan at Swinging Skirts. And I just said, when the time is right, it'll happen. And that made me very present, and that made me think of more of golf as a shot at a time, not to get too ahead of myself. And when the time is right, it'll happen, because I've put in all the work.
What does history and your place in it, what does that mean to you in this game?
I feel like that's a question that I haven't really thought about too much. I'm so in the present that I don't let myself think about that too much, because I feel like that just comes with a little bit more added pressure. Obviously, there's nothing better to me than seeing all the little kids come out and saying that, you know, I inspire them to pick up a golf club, or I'm their favorite golfer. There's no better feeling than that. And hopefully I do get to inspire the next generation with the love that I have for the game, and hopefully they have it too. But when it comes to the history, I feel like I'm so caught up in being present that I haven't thought about that too much.
Okay, Nelly Korda addressing the media in advance of this week's Chevron. As the show progresses today, we'll also feature a notable tee times for that major championship, which will be coming up starting tomorrow. Well, starting right after this break, we are going to be joined with a very special guest, a very important guest, right after this.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after the PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Boyne Golf provides the ultimate world-class golf destination with 10 championship-caliber courses spanning 3 resorts. Centered in Michigan's northern Lower Peninsula, the courses are the products of some of the game's masters, including Robert Trent Jones Sr., Arthur Hills, and Donald Ross. From the all-inclusive vacation packages, elite instruction with the Boyne Golf Academy, tournaments, and so much more, Boyne Golf truly offers an unrivaled Michigan golf vacation experience. Just log on to BoyneGolf.com. I mean, arguably the strongest stable in golf. Would you agree? As promised, it's a pleasure to welcome to the show David Abeles, who is the president and CEO of TaylorMade Golf Company. David, I mean, I've got to start, dude, with congratulations. This past weekend, TaylorMade Golf Company has another ambassador, another major championship, now 2 in the books for Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. It was this past weekend was incredibly special, certainly for our company and mostly for Scotty and his family, but what he means to the game of golf, and I'm sure that you feel the same way, is something that I think is uplifting for our industry, the game of professional golf, and certainly golf fans like myself and members of our organization. here in the United States and around the world. It was a fantastic victory. Scotty continues to make progress and develop as a world-class player, certainly as world number one, and he demonstrated it last weekend at Augusta National.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about what it means to the game, to the world of golf at large. What is it about Scotty Scheffler? I mean, you know him on a different level that we don't. We see Scotty as the competitor. And whenever you see an athlete as a competitor, even if it's in a press conference and what have you, there are certain levels of armor that still surround them for competitive reasons. Tell us about the Scotty Scheffler that we don't know, David. What is he like behind the scenes when you're just hanging out?
Matt, you know, we are very specific at TaylorMade when we work with amateur athletes and subsequently professional athletes in identifying who becomes part of what we call Team TaylorMade. And the starting point in all that is our values as a company aligned with the values of the athlete, and are the athlete's values aligned with the nature of the company. And so whether you look at some of the imagery that you just shared, everyone from Rory McIlroy to Tiger Woods to Colin Morikawa this past weekend playing well again, Tommy Fleetwood playing terrific golf, Nelly Korda going for 5 this weekend, 5 in a row, Brooke Henderson. You know, I think about this tremendous group of individuals that excel on the golf course, but who they are off the golf course matters to us. So as it relates to Scotty, one of the things that I find incredibly interesting and incredibly inspiring, quite frankly, is what you see as a golf fan when Scotty's in the press room, when he's playing golf, whether it's at Augusta National or winning anywhere else around the country or around the world, is precisely what you get when you're with Scotty one-on-one. Scotty and I, fortunately, I was the fortunate one to be paired with Scotty at AT&T this year up at Pebble Beach just a couple months ago. And I've had a chance to get to know Scotty. He came on board with us several years ago. We knew him as an amateur. We know his family. We know Meredith, his wife. And we have fallen in love with him and his family for who he is and how he lives his life. And to play golf with him and be inside the ropes with world number one and see him hit 35 or 36 greens on Thursday and Friday, and his temperament never changes. His attitude never changes. His authenticity never changes. And quite frankly, his care and interest in other people never changes. He's not only a world-class player, as we've said over and over again, he's even a better person. And it's not common that you say that about most athletes. So what you see, to answer your question, Matt, when you're with him privately, the experiences you have with him one-on-one, when you're playing golf with him, it's identical to what you see in terms of how he acts, behaves, and leads and plays on the golf course in front of the public. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Scotty Scheffler, the consistency of who he is and how he lives his life and plays his game.
We're going to get into equipment, folks, in just a second with David. I've got a couple of pieces here with me, plus we've got some video that they sent in to us, and I want to talk about where they are in 2024. But to that stable that you just mentioned, you mentioned the name Rory and Tiger and Tommy and Nelly and Colin and Scotty, and it goes on. What's it like for you when you're sitting wherever you're sitting, at home watching the final throws of a major, and whether you're watching Nelly or whether you're watching Scotty or Colin, as it were, for a while, right? What is it like for you? Are you just going crazy watching your stable, watching your guys, your people when they're in the mix?
Nerve-wracking, I think, would be the 2 words to describe it. Listen, regardless of my role here at TaylorMade, which obviously I'm incredibly humbled to sit in this role with this great company and all of our great team, I'm a golf fan. Always been a golf fan. And I love this game like you do, like all of your audience does. And when our athletes, and I'm competitive, when our athletes ultimately are in contention, and this weekend was a great example. You know, certainly Scotty seemed to have control of that golf tournament most of the day, but, you know, as he was making the turn on the front 9 before he hit that wedge into number 9, it was getting pretty close. You know, you had 3 or 4 at the top of the leaderboard, one of them being Colin, who, you know, you could ask me the same question about Colin. What's he like off the golf course relative to how he's on the golf course? I would give you almost the same answer. And so, you know, between rooting for Scotty this weekend and Colin playing great golf and Tommy Fleetwood coming up from behind playing a great back 9, it's nerve-wracking, but it's also incredibly inspiring and energizing. and fulfilling. The gratitude we have for our athletes, the relationship, the personal relationship we have with our athletes, and then certainly, the impact that those athletes have on our business when they play well and when they win. All of those things together creates for a very energized and exciting and tension-filled Sunday afternoon, whether it's at the Masters or any other golf tournament for that matter.
There's no doubt about that. As you mentioned, Nelly, perhaps even one more time coming up this weekend. Fingers crossed there for you as well. I do want to touch on something that, as you talk about these athletes and as you talk about the TaylorMade company, it is clear that character and authenticity are very tightly intertwined with everything that you guys do. How would you say that these athletes who represent you to the world of golf also tie into who you feel TaylorMade actually is? How would you define that bridge?
Yeah, it's a very, very insightful question, Matt. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the kind words about the company we try to keep. Listen, we're not perfect. No company's perfect, but we strive for perfection. And at times, if we accept greatness, wonderful. We're a very competitive bunch of employees here at our company. We take great pride and passion in the things that we do, notably our golf equipment, this incredible sport that we all love. And we have an interesting value in this organization. It's actually a made up word. When we went through our value orientation like we do every year to pressure test, are we doing the right things in front of golfers, not just world-class players like Scotty or Nelly, but are we doing the right thing in front of golfers that aspire to play better, that need new technologies and better performance to enhance their game? And we approach everything with a degree of what we call golftimism. We believe in the future of this game, no more now than ever before. A lot of momentum in the game of golf right now at every level. We believe that we can continue to advance technology to enhance performance for players of all skill levels, not just the best players in the world, but all of us that are starting the game, that have been playing the game for a while, that aspire to play the game better. And there's a beautiful picture of our new QI family of products, the QI 10 driver. We can get into that, the QI iron. We relentlessly pursue advanced innovation and technology for the benefit of golfers. And at times, fortunately, we get a lot of credit for that, being a very technically driven company. And at times, we get some pushback on it too, because we work so hard to try new things that real innovative companies don't exist in reality. And TaylorMade does for one primary reason. We're willing to take on the risk that most wouldn't, to advance performance or advance design in a way that could truly benefit the way golfers play, both in equipment and golf ball. And that's a tough position to be in, because at times as an innovative company, you have to take on the risk of maybe not getting it right. So fortunately, we get it right more often than not. And right now we're getting it really right with QI, which is just an incredible blend of speed and forgiveness by bringing advanced technology, carbon face, and optimizing efficient energy transfer in the golf ball, which optimizes speed. TaylorMade's always been known for having the fastest drivers in the world, but we haven't always been known to be able to make the most forgiving driver. And 5 years ago, we set out to try to figure out how do we take those two variables and not have them be mutually exclusive, but have them be literally engineered so that they work together. And you can see this on the screen right now. We changed the dimensional qualities of the product. We changed the inertia properties of the product, and we retain the speed that everybody has come accustomed from TaylorMade. So this is the first of its kind, 10,000, what we call 10K MOI, which is measured in grams per centimeter squared. I won't get too engineering on everybody this morning, but this is the first driver we've ever made that not only optimizes speed, but really maximizes inertia. And you saw it on display with Scotty, with Colin, with Tommy, with Tiger, and all of our athletes that are now in QI 10. It was one of the best drivers we have built for our athletes to get into, and thankfully they're playing them, and as you mentioned, Nelly included. So you can see the improvements in performance at impact there on off-center hits. It's an incredible product. Best I've seen in my 25 years in golf.
That is pretty significant, what you just heard there from David. And there is another point to that, David, if you would allow. I'd like to make sure we emphasize here. While David is talking about the very best players in the world benefiting from the product, and I have it right here in front of me. This is the Max, by the way, David, the one that I'm holding in my hand. This particular product, the Max version, is excellent for everybody. And I think, David, if I may, that's an important message for us to put out, that the product isn't just designed for the best of the world and the rest of the world kind of fits in where they fit in. This product in particular that I'm holding in my hand is really made for the everyman golfer to try to maximize performance and forgiveness.
Matt, you are spot on. And in order for us to be the company we would like to be, which is the best performance golf brand in the world, it starts with making products that address the needs of every skill level within the golfing spectrum. And that product, the 10K Max, the QI10 Max, is precisely that. And it actually works for every player, regardless of ball speed. And so I've seen 18 handicaps pick up 10 yards or 12 yards by optimizing their launch conditions, speed and spin, and benefiting from the inertia properties, which is the resistance to twisting on off-center hits. And I've seen players like Scotty Scheffler also optimize their launch conditions to improve their performance as well. So you are spot on. And that QI10 Max is one incredible product. It's a beautiful product. Ironically, that's the product that Nelly Korda plays. That's the product that Colin Morikawa was playing in Hawaii this year. He's moved back and forth between that and the LS. But it's truly remarkable to see even the best players in the world wanting enhanced stability through optimized inertia, knowing that they're going to retain the ball speed qualities that's inherent in TaylorMade technology.
Incredible stuff with David Abeles, the president CEO of TaylorMade. By the way, you can find TaylorMade product and all that technology he was just talking about at the PGA Tour Superstore. They are the #1 golf retailer from coast to coast. Find what you need at the PGA Tour Superstore, your happy place.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try these. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Boyne Golf provides the ultimate world-class golf destination with 10 championship-caliber courses spanning 3 resorts. Centered in Michigan's northern Lower Peninsula, the courses are the products of some of the game's masters, including Robert Trent Jones Sr., Arthur Hills, and Donald Ross. From the all-inclusive vacation packages, elite instruction with the Boyne Golf Academy, tournaments, and so much more, Boyne Golf truly offers an unrivaled Michigan golf vacation experience. Just log on to BoyneGolf.com.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Order yours and save. Visit zerofriction.com/stride or scan the QR code to order yours today. Stride, your personal caddy.
So we were just talking about stability, MOI, in the 10K with David Abeles, the CEO of TaylorMade. Now, what David's talking about the 10K, just so you guys, again, understand how it applies to your game, because he and I are getting kind of deep and nerdy with the technology here. What we're talking about is stability at the moment of impact. And no one, not even the best players in the world, always hit the center of the face. We used to say on the screws, but anywhere where you hit it, because of that high in MOI, you're going to get stability, which means you're going to get better performance across the board. What are you finding, David, if I may, with the average golfer? Let's go from a 10 to a 20 handicap in the performance of that high in MOI.
Yeah, we're seeing two variables, performance variables, that matter most. We're seeing consistency in ball speed on off-center hits. So if you take a 15 handicap, I saw one up here at our test center the other day, a 15 handicap that had 135 mile an hour ball speed. This gentleman hit it center face at 135, he hit it heel side at 134, and he hit it toe side, ironically, at 136. He caught a flyer off the toe, which was very cool. But when we map that face area and we map the consistency in ball speeds off that face area, regardless of where you hit this driver on the face, you're going to get roughly the same speed qualities coming off the driver face. So that's number one. The second variable are the launch conditions in spin, and that's a combination of the inertia that we talked about and the continued advancements of twist face technology. So whether you hit a high toe shot or a low heel shot, your side spin or your back spin rates are coming off consistent to a center hit. So when you tumble all that together, you're going to find distance because you're optimizing your launch conditions across the entire face map, even when you're off center. So that face stays stable, the energy transfer stays efficient, and ultimately your launch conditions, right, launch angle, speed, and spin remain relatively consistent across a larger face area, which then will have you hit it straighter and further. And that's precisely what's happening with QI10.
I know you guys are loving what you're hearing from David right now, and you guys should probably know this. He and I go way back because he came from the side of the business where he was directly dealing with you guys. He was directly dealing with golfers, and that's how he can explain this language and this technology so well, which you could appreciate as a CEO of one of the top companies in the industry. That's why they keep advancing to make sure that they take care of everybody with your needs. Now, I'm holding the QI iron in my hand. This is the 5-iron, David, and this particular model that I'm looking at, I love the width of the flange, all the stuff we'd be talking about if we were on a golf shop floor, right? I love the way that you have a beautiful top line on this. This is the real business end of the club here, right? Can you guys see that when I hold it up to the camera? So it's beautiful when you look down at it. It has the effectiveness of a hollow body design, and it still has your speed slot technology. This is like buying a car that's fully loaded. This has technology written all over it, but it's in a package that looks like a player's club.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. You know, we have two very clear segments of products in the irons category. We have, as you know, the P Series product. And the flagship product within the P Series is the P790, which has been the top-selling player's distance iron for the better part of the last 6 years now. It's been absolutely fantastic. And then that P Series is a forged product that works all the way down to some of the muscle back construction and cavity back construction that you see in the players on tour. Scotty plays the P7 TW, the Tiger Woods design product, and Colin plays the P7 MC, which is the muscle cavity. He also plays the 730 in the short irons. But we all realize, including myself, hitting forged blades and forged products isn't always the easiest thing to do. But we also realized in all of the research we've done and all of the interactions we've had with game improvement quality type players, which is how can you build a product that provides the performance qualities for a mid to higher handicap, but looks the part of a serious player's product. And that's what QI represents. It is a product that provides those same inertia properties, those same speed properties that we talked about in the driver. This one comes in the form of the speed slot, Matt, that you were kind enough to reference in the construction of the sole. That what you just saw in the back of the driver is what we call a capback design. So there where you see the blowout, the configuration of the driver, we've got an incredible face dynamic that is really produced with different performance requirements across the face. We've got a speed slot in the sole, and then we've got a capback design that provides optimal forgiveness and perimeter weighting, supported by rebar underneath it, which optimizes feel. So every one of these faces, from the 3-iron all the way up to the pitching wedge, is designed for that particular iron. We don't design a 7-iron face and put it in a 3-iron, or a 3-iron face and put it in a pitching wedge. So we have so much data now in terms of how we think about developing and building an iron. Every one of those face has variable face thickness based on the requirements of a particular loft in a particular iron. And so this iron is what we call flighted CG. So on your long irons, you want higher launching. On your short irons, you want lower launching. So we actually flight the CG location across the entire golf club, which enables us to optimize trajectory for every entry point and into hitting your second or third shot, even into the greens. So QI has been wonderful. We launched it literally 2 months ago. It's quickly become one of the most popular irons in golf, but it also looks the part of a very beautiful product, right? And that's important for us. We believe in two tenets in product design here, that our products need to be better in form and function year after year, or we won't launch them. Form in the context of, what does it look like? Is the design language leading edge? Is it contemporary? Will avid golfers, regardless of skill level, look at this product and say, I want to play it, I want to try it, it looks beautiful. And then function is certainly the functionality of the product and how it ultimately performs when you hit it. And so QI is a wonderful example of that, as is the P790. Those two, that 1-2 punch in our business right now, has helped us be the #1 iron company in the game of golf, and we'll continue to fuel the momentum behind those two products.
Yeah, it is very, very impressive indeed, David, because what it really comes down to is it's artwork that's backed by science and backed by technology so that you can have as much fun as possible playing the game. My guest is David Abeles. He's the president and CEO of TaylorMade. TaylorMadeGolf.com is the website if you want to check out anything that we have been discussing today. David, I do want to talk to you about the business side. You talked about the momentum in the game, that across the game, it's at record levels right now. Let's talk about the 99.99% game. How has it benefited TaylorMade? Obviously, there are those areas that are going to be touchstones that we know in terms of sales and demand for your product. But the game is exploding post-COVID, and it's maintained that momentum, which is what's so great about it, because none of us really knew at the end of the pandemic whether it would. So from that standpoint, where and how do you view TaylorMade's role?
Yeah, so we've been incredibly fortunate to see the acceleration of participation in our sport as we work through and out of the I guess the steady state of the pandemic. It's hard to talk about the pandemic because you never want to see something as challenging as that situation during COVID. How do you talk about that in the context of more people playing golf? So we're extremely fortunate that golf was a beneficiary of some of the outdoor activities that came through the pandemic. And to your point, Matt, we've tacked on several million golfers around the world, not just here domestically, but around the world. And we all know this as golfers. Golf is a very sticky game. When you get your hands on a golf club and you hit a beautiful golf shot, and you're playing with friends and family that you enjoy being around, it becomes very sticky. We have seen over the course of the last couple of years, as things migrate back toward what we believe to be a more normal flow of participation, we have seen that growth in the game that came through COVID be sustainable. We have seen rounds of play and participation, both number of participants and how frequently the participation is happening, remain sustainable and to some degree actually growing. Rounds of play this year are actually up low single digits, which is another marker of the incredible momentum we're seeing in the sport. That correlates directly into our business. The more golfers we have to engage and work with and ultimately provide product and product technology to enhance the way they perform, the better off we'll be. But we're equally as optimistic to see all the recreational players that came in through COVID as they transition into more technical products, and TaylorMade certainly serves a meaningful role here in the game of golf to help better players continue to improve as they work through their playing continuum. So the net effect has been very strong for our business, very strong for the business and industry. And our role is to continue to innovate. Our role is to continue to provide great products for players that really want to get better. That's simple, and we work to do that every day. We also invest and co-invest with associations in golf, from the USGA to the PGA of America, to pick one, the R&A, to ensure that this momentum is enhanced. And we get behind initiatives that help entry-level players learn the game of golf through instruction, through our club professional staff, domestically and international, to provide resources to help golfers improve the way they perform so that it can be more sustainable and sticky in terms of their experience in golf. And I've never been more proud of our company and the contributions we've made to the run-up of golf, even pre-COVID, but certainly post-COVID, and the efforts we will continue to make to serve those that ultimately desire to improve and get better in their respective games.
David, from the business side of the game, is there a risk that the game at its top competitive levels is still divided, that they're still searching for an answer?
Yeah, I think, many of the risks, Matt, have been discussed, written about. There are different perspectives contingent upon who you talk to and where you talk to those people. Very different viewpoints on the LIV PGA Tour situation domestically and internationally. I think we would all agree, at least certainly our perspective has been, the more frequent we can have the best players in the world playing together, and this past weekend was a great example of that, the more competitive the environment, we see better viewership, we see better energy around the game, and ultimately I think golf will be better for it. And so we're advocates of trying to find a way to have the best players in the world play more frequently together. And I'd love to think that we're working toward that. And I know there's a lot of smart people around the table, a lot of thoughtful people around the table trying to solve this divide at this point in time. I am sensing through my role and through our company that we're starting to see progress there, and that we have the right discussions that are happening that will lead us to a better place. I think time will tell. I'm hopeful that it happens sooner rather than later, but quite frankly, Matt, we don't have a direct seat around that table. If we did, we would be working hard to find a way to help golf become more unified and put a product in front of golfers that inspires us all. But what I do find interesting, and I had this discussion actually at Augusta with a few of our media partners, we've seen some of the media ratings be a bit softer than I think we all would have liked early in the season. And some are suggesting that's because the product and the separation between LIV and the PGA Tour have created a little bit of dilution in the sport. I have a counter argument that would suggest that to some degree, there's so much golf being played at the recreational and core and avid level, there's just a little bit less being watched. And so, when you see millions of new golfers come into the game and you see participation rates and golf courses filled and tee sheets that are booked, from 7:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, it's fairly evident that golf's in a great place because golfers are playing the game. And when they're playing the game, perhaps they're not watching as much as we'd like. But rest assured, I'm excited to see what the numbers look like for this past weekend. I firmly believe that the world of professional golf will get better over time, and that anytime there's some type of disruption in any ecosystem, whether it's at the world of professional golf or TaylorMade disrupts with a new technology, the net effect over time is you end up with something better. And that's a tough thing to go through. But when we look back 10 and 20 years from now, I think we will look back at this moment in time and believe that in the end, we ended up with something that was better than what we started with. And the challenge is, as you're going through that, at times it can be a bit out of balance and a bit disheartening. But I believe we'll end up in a better place. And as I mentioned earlier, we come from a very golf-optimistic viewpoint here at TaylorMade, and believe that things will continue to work toward a stronger position in the professional game over time.
That golf-optimistic, that positivity is the reason why I think David is so important, folks, to the golf industry. I have a strong suspicion that what you just saw and what you just heard is the first long-form interview that you've ever been able to hear from David. And I think it's important for all of us to hear who the leaders are in our industry, because whether you're talking about character, whether you're talking about authenticity, whether you're talking about science, whether you're talking about engineering, whether you're talking about energy, ultimately, you're talking about passion. Ultimately, you're talking about a common love for the game of golf. And for all those things, David Abeles, thank you for what you and thank you for what TaylorMade means to the game of golf and what you continue to provide.
Matt, thank you very much. One, for having me on the show, but two, for all the things you're doing for this great game, our industry, and how you're bringing real insights, honest insights, real perspective to golfers around the country and around the world. I'm a huge fan of what you do. I'm a huge fan of how you do it. Grateful to have some time to share some thoughts with your audience this morning.
David Abeles, the president and CEO of TaylorMade. As I mentioned, I think it's so important that we get a chance to hear from the leaders in the golf industry from all sectors. More of the Fairways of Life show coming up right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Boyne Golf provides the ultimate world-class golf destination with 10 championship-caliber courses spanning 3 resorts. Centered in Michigan's northern Lower Peninsula, the courses are the products of some of the game's masters, including Robert Trent Jones Sr., Arthur Hills, and Donald Ross. From the all-inclusive vacation packages, elite instruction with the Boyne Golf Academy, tournaments, and so much more, Boyne Golf truly offers an unrivaled Michigan golf vacation experience. Just log on to BoyneGolf.com.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
What if we started a company and the company was under no time constraints, no financial constraints? The one constraint is their clubs had to be exceptional performers and much better than any other alternative. I was told time and again it'll never work. It worked like a house of fire. And I'll tell you what, I think our customers love it. BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
All right, here are the air times for the Chevron. A golf trail tomorrow from 10 a.m. and then it breaks at 2 p.m. And you're going to see why it's going to break in just a second when I give you air times for the RBC Heritage. But 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then once again from 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday on NBC from 3 to 6. As to the aforementioned, alluded to RBC Heritage, Thursday and Friday coverage for the RBC Heritage will start at 2 p.m. and run until 6 p.m. on Golf Channel. Saturday and Sunday split between Golf Channel and CBS, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on CBS, respectively. Okay, Dom, I want to ask you about the question of the day, but I want to go down another road first. I don't think since we've been airing in North America on Golf Channel that we've ever done this before, but we didn't get to a fraction of what I want to get to today. So I'm going to throw this at you live in the air. I'm not going to end the show today. When we finish on Golf Channel at the top of the hour, we're going to go immediately to our Fairways of Life YouTube channel and keep the show running today because I want the audience, for amongst other things, to hear from Stacy Lewis in this discussion that I started in the first segment about responsibilities that are associated with a top player, addressing the media, making yourself available, etc. Are there responsibilities there? Or if a player is having success by being in an insular world, is that enough? What they owe to themselves first and foremost. So I want to discuss that. But what do you have for your question of the day?
It's related directly to that. We only have about 90 seconds here, but the question is, which, again, if you go to YouTube page, we can continue this conversation. Does Nelly Korda have a responsibility to do what she can to elevate the LPGA Tour? Definitely is one option. Not her problem is another option. And the third option is it's an LPGA problem collectively. So very interesting.
Well, what are the results so far? Are you saving that for
you'll have to go to YouTube. There's a lot to discuss here, Matt. I'm not doing this. We have a minute. We have literally 1 minute.
He's leaving us hanging for that 1 minute. So what we're doing for the first time ever, historic for us, is we're going to keep the Fairways of Life show rolling on the Fairways of Life YouTube channel. So kick over there and you can hear the discussion continue if you so please, because I want to talk more about Rory McIlroy's perspective of what he's doing. I want to talk more about Nelly Korda, her perspective that I don't need to do more than what I'm doing. Stacy Lewis saying, yes, you do. Plus, we have so many people that we have yet to hear from. Matt Fitzpatrick, we haven't heard from yet. Brian Harmon, he had a 47 at the Masters. How do you react to that? And you can see some of the tee times there. Look at 10:30 a.m. Your Masters champion, Scotty Scheffler, is playing alongside of Jordan Spieth this week at the RBC Heritage as the game of golf and the wheels continue to roll. It is going to be a great week. There's no doubt about that. Hop on over to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel right now, and the Fairways of Life show continues there. If not, otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for your company. Bye for now. All right, folks, so we are continuing on the YouTube page. Those of you who have been with us on the YouTube
Did that work?
side.
Is that working? Are we working?
Thank you very much for it. Could you hear Dom in the background? Was that on air, Dom? When you were like, did that work? Did that work?
Definitely not supposed to do it that way. That's okay.
I'm sorry about that, Andrew. I'm sorry about that, Dominic, but I didn't want to let it end. You know, as I said,
there's way too much to discuss, and it's too restrictive with the time restrictions. And I love the idea of staying here and continuing the discussion. We can break down this question of the day a little bit more. Why don't we, Matt, do you want to start with the Rory stuff, or do you want to start with Nelly and Stacy?
Yeah, you know where I want to start? Because we have the freedom of doing whatever we want on this platform.
I feel like I've been playing a lot.
That was Lydia Ko that wanted to be heard from just for a second there. We're flying off in all different directions. Everybody's like, what did Matt just do? I kept it rolling. That's what we're doing. Did you, Dom, you may have seen this. I sent a graphic that I saw from Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah. We got that. That's where you want to start? Fine.
That's where I want to start. It's interesting to me. Why not? It's fun. So he put it out there and said, at 120 starts, how everybody compares. So let's run through this. And for those of you that are hanging with us on the audio side, the digital radio side, which I'm assuming continued on as well. This was our show's eclipse. Are you guys all still there? So for Scotty Scheffler, 120.
From Jamie Kennedy, by the way.
Yeah, that's
FYI.
Didn't I say that, Jamie Kennedy?
He's the director. He's like the director of digital content or something for Golf Digest, this guy.
Yeah, and he was the guy that weighed in on the rumors about Rory going to LIV, because I guess he's close to Rory, and he said it was complete rubbish, I believe, if I quote directly. So in 120 events, Scotty Scheffler, 2 majors. Rory McIlroy had 4. Jon Rahm with 1. Tiger had 6. Spieth had 2. Brooks with 4, Jack Nicklaus with 5. This is not actually the graphic I sent you. You found another one with Brooks Koepka and Jack Nicklaus at it, didn't you, Dom? This is awesome.
Well, what happened was Jamie was in conversations with people on Twitter, and people were complaining. They're like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about this guy? What about that guy? And he's like, all right, I'll update the chart.
Yeah,
Will you
no,
leave
it's good.
me alone?
Okay, same comparison. 120 starts. Wins. Scheffler with 9, Rory with 13, Rahm with 7, Woods with 29, Spieth with 10, Brooks with 6, Jack with 18. From there, we get into top 3s, top 10s, top 25s. I mean, it's crazy. The numbers are crazy. It led by Tiger and Jack. I mean, top 3s, 46 and 45. It's amazing when you start to look at that. Top 10s, Jack at 75, Tiger at 69. Top 25s, Jack at 97, Tiger at 92. Miscuts low by all of them. The lowest of all of them in 120 starts was Jack Nicklaus with 4. And then the money becomes ridiculous. Jack Nicklaus, of course, played in a different time and place and era. Through 120 starts in tour event with all that performance he had, $453,000. He should be playing in the WNBA. What was the ridiculous amount of money that they said that Caitlin got? What was her contract for? Like $300,000 for 4 years at $350,000.
So, well, hold on. We got to provide a little bit of context here, especially for those who might be watching us internationally. Yes, she's not an international Lionel Messi worldwide superstar. Caitlin Clark is a college basketball player, or was, in the United States. She played for the University of Iowa. She took them to the Final Four, took them to the finals. The ratings in the United States for her games were all-time record stuff. And the WNBA, which is the women's professional basketball in the United States, drafted her yesterday or the day before, whatever. They had their draft. She was the number 1 pick, obviously. And she signed a contract for 4 years, and the total value of the contract was $338,000 over 4 years. $338,000 and change. Just for a comparison, again, I'm giving context, providing context for the international audience here, because not everyone's following the NBA or even for that, the WNBA, especially just in the States. The NBA in the United States is a big deal. I know internationally basketball is big too with the NBA. The first pick in the NBA draft last year also got a 4-year rookie deal for $55 million. All
right,
and
so
Caitlin's contract was for $338,000. Now, there's a lot of layers to this, right? It's not just about it's not necessarily a gender thing. The WNBA doesn't get ratings, doesn't have a lot of revenue, doesn't get TV revenue. They don't really have a base to work from to pay anybody.
Right, I understand that. You can't ask a business to pay something that it doesn't have. But that's $84,500, and she was in the starring role for an NCAA playoff game in the NCAA tournament that had 13 million viewers. So clearly there's ability to cross a bridge so you can bring in viewers, and those viewers bring in advertisers and generate the money. I don't know if that's going to happen with her, if she's going to have the ability to have that big an impact on the WNBA. It's all very interesting nonetheless. So, but it does lead me when you're talking about athletes and you're talking about impacts, and I was talking to David Abeles a little bit about that today, which, by the way, Dom, I have to tell you, I didn't get much chance to talk about it in our national television broadcast this morning, but I loved having David Abeles on. We don't have anything to do with David. He's not an advertiser with the show or anything else. I want to get leaders in the industry on. If they have something to do with us, like Dan Murphy from Bridgestone, I'll tell you. But I want to get the leaders on because golf industry is so controlled. They actually use it, the phraseology they use is very corporate speak of the ecosystem, right? And it's very important to the people at the top of the ecosystem that the message is packaged in a way that they want it they want it packaged. What touch points, and I'm not saying that any and all of them don't have the best interests of the game at heart, but they certainly have their agendas. In fairness, that's fine. And my objective with this show has always been the same. We do not intend to tell you what you should think, what you should feel, what you should support. I feel like our job journalistically is to provide you with a balanced view, information from both sides, so that you can come to a conclusion of what you believe. And so getting people like David Abeles to me on the air is important. Was he heavy selling his product? Of course he was. I was asking him questions about his product. I wanted to know about the new irons. I wanted to know about the new driver. And you can't argue with the stable that he has and the performance that they're getting. I mean, their guy just won the Masters. Full stop. Right? Nelly, 4 consecutive wins. It's unbelievable. And we're going to talk more about Nelly, as I promised you, coming up today. So I just think it's important to hear from these different voices. Right? We're going to hear from the official organizations and golf's governing bodies. They're going to tell us why this is important and why that's important. And they may try to brush aside other views or criticism because it differs from theirs. Okay, they have a right to do that too. But it's important that you hear from everybody. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about that is that, and I've asked you guys this question before, all of you represent the 99.99%. Without you guys, none of the rest of this works. Zero. But I find that in the world of golf, particularly today, decisions are made from the top down instead of from the bottom up. Meaning that mandates are made, rules are made, changes are made because of what's happening at the top tier, particularly when we're talking about equipment as we were today. It's what the whole context is of this discussion. Right? And my question has been, who represents you? There are those who unabashedly and rightfully represent the game of golf and are doing things in what they believe to be the best interest for the long-term health of the game. Okay. Respect that. Who's representing the 99.99%? Who speaks for you? And if you look at the big issues that have circled around the game for some time and those that are central, again, particularly to issues like equipment and et cetera, right now, a strong argument can be made to say, well, no. If they're looking out for the good of the game, they're obviously looking out for the good of the 99% too, 99.99%. I get it. And again, I respect that. I'm not arguing with that perspective. It's not my position nor my role to try to define definitively who people represent. I think that's another area where all of you can speak for yourselves in terms of who represents you and who you think your views are best reflected in and by. But all I'm saying is that I think there are times that decisions are made that are reactionary instead of visionary. And I think that there are times that decisions are made where, because of antiquated philosophy, it's a lot easier to bunch everybody in together, even though in a sober analysis, the decisions are not entirely fair for the 99.99%. It's rare that a decision will come out that it works the other way. I think when the rule to search for a lost ball went from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, it was detrimental to the professional game. The reason why they went from 5 to 3 at large is to try to speed the game up. But I've said it from the beginning. The amount of time that an amateur golfer spends looking for a golf ball is in direct proportion to how much they paid for that golf ball. And on the professional level, 3 minutes has felt pretty squeezed, even though they have spotters out there, they have galleries out there. The times when they really have trouble trying to find a golf ball is when it ends up in a tree. So in any event, that's why I want to have these industry leaders on. I want us to hear from them. I want the passion. I want the excitement. Tell me about your product. If that turns you off hearing somebody talk about why they're really excited about the product, why they think the technology is breakthrough, you can't coast in the industry today. You can't create something and go, yeah, this is really good. Meanwhile, the rest of us roll our eyes and go, no, it's not really that distinctive. We did go through some years of that. I thought for years that iron technology lagged behind the driver because the driver was where they would make their real huge return on investment. You know, one club, $300, $400, $500 or more. I think the economics of golf equipment fundamentally changed when, and to me, this was a demarcation line, when you could buy a refrigerator for less than what you would pay for a driver. I think that was a fundamental change in the industry, right? Because amongst other things, what that meant was if it hadn't already been this way, it definitively became this way that you couldn't buy a new driver until you cleared that with your spouse. He or she had to be on board because, like I just said, it's the same price, or you could pay less and you could get yourself a refrigerator. Maybe not one of the big fancy ones today, but you get a pretty nice one. You could definitely get that backup one that you keep in the garage with, you keep your beer in. Right? So anyway, that's why it was important to me to have David on the show. I love the fact that you guys all got to hear directly from him in a long-form format. He wasn't rushed. Tell us what you think. Honestly, have you heard anybody else say, as they talk about ratings, because you saw the ratings came out in the last 24 hours about the Masters and they're down. Have you heard anybody else say, you know what? From a golf guy's perspective, because you think all of them would be like, yeah, ratings are down. Woe is me. And he was like, could be because people are out playing. Have you heard that anywhere else? I hadn't. I thought that was really, really interesting. And I loved his golf-tomism, as he put it. That positive perspective, which I happen to agree with, which is the game's going to be okay because the game always is okay. The game will work itself through it. The game will figure itself out. So anyway, I guess it's my way of trying to continue to bring balance and voices to a lot of discussions that are very, very controlled, with great intention in terms of what you hear and how you hear it, and ultimately it is to try to frame what you think you know, what you should believe, and where you should put your support behind one way or the other. My goal, to reiterate, is to give you the information in its entirety so you come up with your own decision. Not one that's spoon-fed to you, but one that where you can go, okay, I believe in this, or I'm somewhere in between. That's it. That's what we were looking at. Okay, so to all this stuff we were talking about, this conversation, and I am going to get to it, anything, just so you know, anything we don't get to today, if Andrew and Dom just say enough is enough, we're going off the air, if we just go to black, you can always log on to where you are right now, the Fairways of Life YouTube channel, and you will see all of these pressers and sound. Whether it's from the LPGA, whether it's from the PGA Tour, whether it's from Live, we put it all on there. It's all available to you. So you can see and hear from the people that are framing the stories that are going on right now. And what we started with, and look, I'm not picking on Nelly Korda, where Nelly's saying she knows her place in the game. She knows that she's number one. She knows that she's on a historic march. But for her, maybe she's a little bit more, I don't know, maybe she's introverted. I don't know her well enough to know. All I'm saying is for whatever reason, a player, makes a decision that they're not going to be the out front person. They're not going to be, for example, like Ricky Fowler on the PGA Tour. Ricky likes being that advertising guy. He likes being the guy out front. He's been criticized for it by people who say, well, there's not enough backing performance to equate to the level of exposure you get as the guy. But it's his personality. It's his it factor that carries him to that level of that commercial stardom. Right? And what I was talking about before was the template for the modern golfer, which I think was a foundation laid by Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, which was, when you get me, you're going to get me because it's in my best interest to do so, say for majors and maybe some big events like defending championships and winning and things like that. But even then, when you get me, it's going to be an orchestrated dance. Clever, insightful, intelligent journalists can probe and get some good questions and answers at times, but it's hard. That same grouping underwent a tremendous amount of criticism after the initial interviews last week at the Masters because nobody asked Tiger about his meeting with Yasser. Nobody. Following, somebody did because they see and hear the same things that all of us would. And I thought that was good. Did Tiger give anything of deep insight with that? Well, it depends upon your opinion. It probably would be not particularly, but he did say that it was positive and he felt like they were moving in a positive direction. There's a piece of his quote up there. So I think Tiger has become even more open as he's gone. He still has his Tiger ways about him because that's just who he is. Right? So that approach of I'll speak when and where it benefits me, which I believe the sentries at the gate of that decision are the players' agents. And I believe their first and foremost consideration is, how does this impact the pocketbook? It's about money. This has nothing to do with what they do in terms of charitable giving, et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about interaction with all of you. It comes back to, again, the 99.99%. These are great people. You know I believe that. These people do a tremendous amount behind the scenes that you don't know about with their foundations, et cetera. I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about the amount of time that they spend with you. And that comes to whether it's press conferences or what have you. As I mentioned at the start of the national broadcast show this morning, thank goodness that we get glimpses in platforms, the podcasts such, Foreplay by the Barstool guys. No Lane Up is another good example. Colt Knose's podcast. Smiley Kaufman has started one now. I mentioned that golf.com is doing some good content with players mostly on the range. So there are occasions when we're getting it in bits and pieces. But the traditional way of having someone sit in front of an assemblage of journalists and saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's a different setting. It's a different. A one-on-one interview even is different than doing a podcast where you're going to have a lot of yucking it up and you get some great funny stories and you get to know the players personally. And again, I love it. I'm not taking anything away from that. It's something. But the other part, more and more often, again, I think golf in so many ways is it not only a reflection of life, as in the name of this show, Fairways of Life, but it's also a reflection of society. I mean, we're in the middle of a bizarre, in the United States, presidential election where you have the people clamoring and media organizations pleading, and you could like them or hate them, believe in them, or whether whether one side might be your fake news and one might be where your trusted source. I don't know. All I'm saying is these organizations, regardless of which side of this, they can't even get the candidates to agree to debate each other. So what happens? What I just was talking about. What you get is packaged. What you get is well rehearsed. It's not at all vetted through people who hopefully, or should be, independent in their thinking, that are just trying to say, what are you going to do about this? And how does that compare to the other person and what you're going to do? I think political debates are a bit ridiculous too, admittedly, because a lot of times they're about, throwing mud at each other instead of actually giving one a perspective. No, but we have 3 primary candidates that are running for president, and I try to stay informed of this stuff. If you sat me down right now and said, okay, I'm going to give you a list of 10 questions, and what do you think each candidate believes about each one of these 10 questions, I'd have trouble giving you a definitive answer. Right? Reflection of society. So that's what I'm saying. It's this question of. So let's start with this, Andrew, first of all, and I'm going to remind you of what Nelly Korda said to this and her perspective of what her responsibilities are. Andrew, we'll come out after that when she finishes her thought, so that I want you guys to hear from Stacy Lewis as well, who is the captain of the United States Solheim Cup team. She, too, a major champion, and so her words have weight, particularly because of the contrast. Let's start here with Nelly.
Listen, I feel like for me, the way that I promote the game is just the way I am. I am very true to myself. I'm never going to do something I'm not really comfortable with. Obviously, I love seeing all the kids, and I love promoting the game. I mean, there's nothing more that I enjoy more, but I'm always just going to stay true to myself, and hopefully that way I do promote the game. Yeah, I think spending time with family, spending time with Jess, haven't seen her in a really long time, and then getting to spend time with Grayson was so nice, getting to recharge the batteries. Obviously, when it's just a week off, you feel like you've just done your laundry and you're repacking it again, so it flies by really fast with, trying to get some rest, practicing and working out. But, having my sister come in for those few days really, really helped.
All right, so this is what I'm getting at, Dom. You have personality and you have intent. They sometimes can be on a common road, but oftentimes they're on divergent roads where you just heard from Nelly Korda. It's like, that's not really me. With some of this kind of out there, a person that's there all the time. Now, I don't know whether that relates to press conferences necessarily. So, because I've been promising it all day and I haven't yet played it, let's go to Stacy in her leadership and prominent position in the game and her perspective of what a top player needs to do to give back.
It's more than a few years, but for me, it was a springboard to my career. It was first win going up against Yanni. It kind of put me on the map, and it gave me that the confidence to compete out here. And but just to see the move, kind of evolving after the last couple years and what Chevron's done to elevate this event. We saw the purse today, and it's been really cool to see. And they're pushing the envelope with this tournament, and I like it. And they want to make it special for us. And last night was certainly a testament to that. Well, I'm not surprised. I will tell you that. It's very impressive. It's 4 very different golf courses. And the 3 weeks in a row, I think, was the most impressive because the amount of energy it takes to do that. I thought you would have maybe seen a little drop in play at the match play, just getting a little bit more tired. But the ball striking's always been so good for her. And short game gets a little better. The confidence to be in that position, I think that's what you're seeing more now. And that was why I put her in the spot that I did at Solheim, is because I felt like she could handle that moment. And, she had to learn. She had to learn how to handle it. So I'm not surprised. I knew it was just going to be a matter of time.
And how does the LPGA capitalize on her fine play? And the follow-up would be, what's Nelly's responsibility in that?
I think Nelly does have a responsibility, and she probably doesn't always want it, just knowing her. But she it's saying yes. It's continuing to play great golf, though, is number one. That's what helps our tour the most, is her playing great golf. So that's what I would tell her, is to remember that. But she also, I would say, to do as much extra stuff as you can for us. The tour, I think, we got to continue to push our TV partners to help us get more coverage. I was disappointed to not see that entire match on Sunday on TV. I just felt like, you're really probably looking at a 3 to 3.5 hours of golf, and I was really disappointed that we didn't get that entire match on TV. So those little things like that, we have to push. We have to push our partners to say, how can we make this happen? and it's getting creative. Maybe it's changing tee times, playing earlier, playing later, whatever it is. But, we got to figure out a way to be more visible.
What's some of the extra stuff you would like to see Nelly do?
Well, every week she needs to be in here talking about it and talking about how good she's playing. And I don't know what that's going to be, what that looks like for her. And I've been in her shoes. I've been number one in the world. I've been the top American, and you're asked to do a lot of things. But, give the media a couple hours every week. That's what she's going to have to start doing. And but like I said, her playing great golf, that's what pushes us more forward than anything.
And talk about the court.
Okay, so Stacy Lewis with her opinions, which Dom was a strong one, which is to say she's our top player. She's the number one player in the world. She may not want to do it. It may not be her personality, as she admitted, but she has an obligation to it and to help the LPGA. So I don't know which side the perspective is. My guess is, like most things, it's somewhere in the middle there. But I do believe that there's a culture amongst top players right now. And I'm not talking about just LPGA. I'm talking about golf. There's a culture amongst top players where they build up walls. I think Jon Rahm did it when he announced he was going to live, and then said, I'm not going to talk until my press conference in February. And he just peace out. He was gone for months, where everyone's hanging saying, what's going on? So, and again, if a player wants to do that, okay, I agree. I'll admit you have a right to do that. But my issue is if you take that position and then later on turn around and come back and be like, hey, I love you guys. I just want to thank you guys for being such great fans. And I think that's disrespectful to the fans, to the 99.99% again. You couldn't do what you're doing without them, and I think you have to pay them respect. Take the time. And maybe do it in different forums like we were just talking about. That's okay. But have a way, find a way that you stay connected to, because I think you owe it to them. What was it, Tom? Remind us again what your question of the day was. You didn't give us any of the results on the national TV broadcast, but could you tell us what's going on now?
Well, I did that on purpose.
I know you did it on
maybe
purpose.
That was a bad decision? Was that a bad decision?
No. I think you'd probably you'll criticize me later on for keeping the show on the air for the first time and not ending it. But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad that we exercised.
There's too much to unpack. It's not fair to the storylines.
If we had just let it collapse at the natural, yeah, I agree with that.
So the question of the day, is: does Nelly Korda have a responsibility to do what she can to elevate the PGA Tour? Thanks to John Burkett, by the way, for cutting up this sound.
Our man.
And in the way that he did. And this question is partially coming from him based on what we're discussing here. My three options for that: is it her responsibility? Definitely, it's her responsibility.
Yep.
No, it's not her problem. Or, listen, this is an LPGA problem. It's a holistic issue. It's not one person's issue. And it's quite split. Right now, 42% say definitely her problem. 18% say not her problem. 40%, Matt, are saying this is an LPGA problem. That is a really interesting.
Yeah, because I totally disagree. I don't even know what that means. It's an LPGA problem. The same thing exists on every tour.
No, I don't agree with that. I disagree with that completely.
Come on.
The LPGA Tour, in relative terms to how good the quality of golf is, is nowhere near the elevation it should be. The PGA Tour is, right?
All right. Well, now you're giving me a context that I didn't have with that. I thought this whole thing was, if you're a top player, you owe it to the fans, you owe it to your tour to get yourself out there and let the people hear from you, and not benefit from all of the money and the fame and everything that goes along with this position that your great play has provided, but you're not giving enough back to the people without whom you wouldn't have any of it. That's the way I view it. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the question.
No, I don't think you are. What I meant by, I'm sorry if this is somehow confusing. I didn't think that it was. Is I'm saying my question is it Nelly Korda's responsibility to elevate the tour because of all the things you're talking about? Because she's the number one player, because she's the face of the tour, etc. Or is it the LPGA's responsibility to elevate itself, to do everything it can and all this other stuff?
I mean, I still don't see the connection there with that thing, because what I'm talking about is what we're discussing here. We're using Nelly because Nelly and Stacy had this open dialogue in two different, I say an open dialogue because it was two different press conferences where they expressed a completely different perspective. One was Nelly going, look, I'm Nelly. I am who I am. I do what's comfortable for me, and it's working from a competitive standpoint, and I hope that it's causing greater interest. Whereas Stacy Lewis is like, no, you know what? You're the top dog. You're number one. You owe more. It's a responsibility that you have to everybody, right? But that's not unique to the LPGA. Look at the template of modern players right now on the PGA Tour and the manner in which they conduct. I told you, the sentries at the gate, the bouncers at the door of entry are their agents. Not an easy job. They've got a tough job. And the common refrain for media is no. Go ahead, Dom. You're talking to me in the background about interaction with.
I mean, are you
he has more
comfortable doing
interaction
that?
with agents than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I was not planning on talking about this on the air, and it's a little uncomfortable because I'm not sure. Sometimes there's extenuating circumstances, and sometimes it's fair and warranted. But most of the time, I've been doing this for 16 years. When I say most of the time, I'm probably talking about 85 to 90% of the time that I contact an agent to interview a player, I get the answer no. And very rarely do I get a reason, an actual real reason. And I do understand that sometimes things come up, and I'm sure that 10% of that 90%, it's reasonable to say no. And I really don't want it to come across as though I'm talking from my ego, because it's not like I think we deserve to talk to this player or that player, or that we've even earned it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a little bit along the lines of what you're saying and what Stacy Lewis is saying is, when you are a professional athlete, part of your job, it's not just a responsibility, because responsibility falls underneath your job. They're sort of one and the same. When your job is professional athlete, part of your job is to talk to the media. Full stop. No, there's nothing else to discuss. And now I'm not saying you got to promote this, you got to promote that, this brand, that brand, money. I'm not talking about any of that. If you're a professional athlete, part of your job is talking to the media. Now, if you look at a lot of the major leagues in the world, the NFL, the NBA, soccer, it's a little different, Matt. I understand, because it's on the LPGA and the PGA Tour, you're talking about independent contractors. They didn't sign a job agreement with the tour. And in the case of the NFL, the NBA, or some of the other things, it's in the contract. They're an employee, but they must do media. It's literally in the contract. You have to do media. When the game ends, you got to talk to the press. That's part of the job, good or bad or indifferent. And if you talk about Nelly Korda specifically, this would be my take, Matt. My almost like, this is what I think, Matt. What do you think about this? First of all, I will say we have requested Nelly Korda on the show, which I'm sure is not surprising. and we were turned down, which, again, coming from my perspective, is unsurprising. It's very common for me to get that response. But my take, and I think Tiger was like this, I don't think Tiger was great with the media. I still don't think he's that great with the media.
Well, I don't think he's comfortable.
I don't think he's a media guy. He's not comfortable. Yeah. But guess what? It's your job. Got to do it. Tiger's been in front of the media for 20 years, answering questions he doesn't want to answer. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we talk about it on the show. Sometimes we don't. It's the way it is.
Well, he's brilliant at not answering back of the particularly back of the day.
Well,
he's better at it.
20 years of media training.
He's much more revealing now, yeah.
My final comment, which I would pose to you, is I think Nelly Korda has a responsibility to do media, even if she's uncomfortable with doing it. And I'm not saying, hey, Nelly, come on this show. I don't care what show you come on. I just think that you have a responsibility to do shows and not press conferences, shows. Like you were talking about earlier, bar stool, no laying up, all this other stuff. That's how we get the personality. Think about what we did an hour ago with David Abeles. You, meaning the audience, you don't get to see a person in that position interact in that manner.
You know what? That's
anywhere,
a good point.
Ever.
There's a good point that you bring up, Don, because I want to mention this too. We're talking about athletes. David was very revealing for us, and I think it was important for us to hear from the voice of another leader in another element of the game. There are plenty of top-tier executives that won't do that, what he just did. Same thing. Better to hide behind the shadows and do what they do instead of being out in front and hearing from people that are bringing their message to the masses. And to your comment about, booking players on shows, just to provide this from a relativity standpoint, this show is the largest golf talk show in the world. There is no other independent golf talk show that's broadcast from coast to coast every day on Golf Channel. Doesn't exist. There is no other show that is available not only there, but live around the world for free through this YouTube vehicle, which is our smallest vehicle of distribution, incidentally. And then we're syndicated over the weekend in an independent affiliate network from coast to coast in a television broadcast, which means that we're reaching a minimum of 180 million homes. 180 million. There's nobody else that even comes close to that. And when you consider all that, and then Dom's going to an agent and saying, hey, our job is to get your person out in front. And we always tell them the same thing. And you guys already know this. If you come on the show with us, you're a professional player, and you come on the show with us, we're going to ask you who your sponsors are. So that's our way of saying thank you for taking the time. Pay them off. Tell the world who you're associated with, right? Now, whether that message connects with agents or not, I don't know. I have no idea. Are they afraid
part
that...
of it is money, Matt.
But I was going to say, are they afraid that we're going to ask the questions that have to be asked? Because the one thing I won't do, the one thing I refuse to do is when we have an interview set up with somebody big and they go, yeah, happy to have them come on, but don't ask about, or we don't want to talk about, fill in the blank here. We don't do that. To hell with that. Don't come on. Rather not have you on than to have some prearranged subterfuge where we can't discuss something that needs to be asked and something that needs to be discussed. Won't do it. But I don't think that's the reason that you're getting. No, the reason I'm saying all that to you is so that you understand that it's not a question of, well, you can get them if the platform is big enough. It's not what it is. It's a philosophy that we're talking about in terms of access. So now I go back to my question. Having said all that, again, I'm going to give it to you from both sides. You know what our perspective is. However, if a player actually performs better by not being out there as much, like Rory took a step back, even though Rory still makes himself available, he's a really hard example to use. But if it's better for a player in their performance, and ultimately they're going to be judged by their performance. In the future, no one's going to look back and go, yeah, but they made themselves available to the media. No, it's about wins and losses.
No,
It's sport.
wait a second. Wait a second. I don't agree with that.
Go ahead.
The growth of the sport potentially, especially if you're talking about the LPGA, could easily you could draw a direct line to that access. So you're saying, well, how is history going to look at Nelly in 100 years? Well, if Nelly opens up and becomes an absolute Caitlin Clark rock star and grows the LPGA Tour to new heights, then history will view her very differently. And maybe you pick the LPGA player in 10 years is going to be playing for twice the amount of money because of that
Maybe.
exposure
Now you're
level.
talking more altruistic there, and I get that. But if she's a one-time major champion and a 12-time winner on the LPGA in 50 or 100 years, she's an asterisk. She's hardly discussed. Because the winners on the LPGA, we're talking about some double-digit major champions and massive number of wins. What I'm saying is if a player performs better by staying in their cocoon, are their actions justified because of what it means for them? What are you hearing back on the discussion board? I'm curious about where people fall on that. Is there a responsibility at large, or first and foremost, do you say, you know what, this is what works for me, and what works for me leads to the legacy stuff? The stuff that's connected with your name directly, not with what you did to build the game or build the tour or all the rest. For better or for worse. What are they saying?
A lot. First of all, the poll is that 41% are saying definitely Nelly Korda. 41% are saying definitely it's the LPGA, with the remainder saying it's not her problem.
See, I'm starting to wonder now if that 82%, 83%, whatever the math is, if it's not saying the exact same thing. Of course a league has a responsibility to build itself. Does she have a responsibility to be a part of that?
Paul says this is great. No other podcast like this. Thank you, Paul. Nelly was on 4Golf and it got huge views, Dean writes. Pursue her. If you do a good product as media, she will do it.
Good.
Okay. We need to grow this channel more. Okay. Yeah, cool. That'd be nice. Oh, this is interesting. Here's an interesting question. Doesn't Nelly need to be more guarded than ever because of the risks of social media? That's fair.
That's why I love our audience. That is absolutely
That's very
brilliant.
fair.
Does that change
That could
the
be
whole
part
discussion?
of the reason why. She's probably like, I don't need this crap. The alternative side, which is not talking about there, that was G. Willis who asked that question. The alternative that he's not talking about is the opposite, which is if she wants to talk to people, she could just do it on her own social media.
Right, that's okay. I remember Tiger doing a couple. He fired a couple shots across the bow of media, doing press conferences through his website. That was a number of years ago.
David
and he
says
didn't do
if
it
you're
again.
winning, you have a responsibility. Nelly's winning.
Dom's
Yeah, I don't
cruising
know.
through our discussion
I mean,
board. That's what it was going on. There was
there's just so much stuff there. I mean, there's a
the
lot
social
coming in.
media is a really interesting component to throw in there and go, does exposure on social media count in this regard? If someone makes themselves available in some way, like it was just last week because the LPGA was off the week of the Masters. Nelly Korda put stuff out there. There were actually pictures of her on a beach. In a bikini on a beach. She's an athlete. Right? She chose to do that. She put that out there. Okay, well, that kind of gives us that personality side of Nelly Korda. The last press conference we aired from her on this show, the last comment she made when she was like, well, I don't drink, so I'm carb loading, which I thought was really funny. When she was talking about going out with her friends, it was great to see that personality. Now, whether that's directly related to what we're talking about, which is responsibilities relative to addressing the media, it's another matter entirely. Or is it? Just interesting stuff. Very, very, very interesting stuff. I won't go deeper than that in here, so because I think we've really kind of fleshed that one out. Well, if we do that, which is that's code from Dom saying you've gone on long enough today. Let's wrap this show up. So if we do that,
I don't really care, but we've got a lot of other things to do.
you got to pick your kids up at school at 3:30 and all the
Yeah,
rest.
we can't do this all day.
Which is it's fun. The irony
But I mean,
is this is pretty
to
much
this
what we do.
point, to the point we're talking about with the LPGA and the exposure, they're doing featured group coverage on ESPN Plus this week of their major championship. Andrew, put the tee times up for the women.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
wait
you
a minute.
can put that up,
He's
too.
give
That's the
him a
airtime.
second. Give him a second. You just mentioned.
Just do everything I say all at once. Do it.
Yeah, featured group coverage for the Chevron Championship Thursday and Friday starting at 9 a.m. all the way up until 8 p.m. will be on ESPN Plus. Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. again on ESPN Plus. Now, if we put up the Chevron Championship featured groups, do you guys have in this, Dom? Is there? So I know you had an asterisk on the men's side.
It hasn't been announced yet.
Is that
but
what it is?
I can tell you that 110 with Nelly Korda, Minjee Lee, and Lilia Vu will most certainly be a feature group. I would also anticipate that
821.
Lexi Thompson, Brooke Henderson, and Lydia
Yeah,
Ko
exactly. That's gonna
would also
you
be
know
a
that was
featured
gonna
group.
be. So we
Now,
probably got two of them
You could
already
kind
nailed.
of handpick any. Yeah, you could handpick any of them from that. I mean, there's some serious groups going there.
1248
Roni
looks
Yin, Celine Boutier,
compelling.
Allison Corpuz. I think they're all in the top 10.
Right.
So I mean, that's cool. So they're getting that exposure. I can tell you right now, Matt, for me personally, I know I'm a golf guy, but still, at 1:10 p.m., Nelly Korda, Minjee Lee, and Lilia Vu, you're crazy if you don't think I'm watching feature group coverage of that group. I'm all over that.
Yeah, all kicking off tomorrow. So let's go through it since Don brought it up. Let's, if you wouldn't mind, Andrew, bring back the ESPN Plus featured group coverage of the Chevron Championship. Just to reiterate that, starting tomorrow at 9 a.m., all these times are Eastern, on Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. are the times for the featured group coverage. The Chevron Championship television coverage starts Thursday and Friday at 10 a.m., goes up to 2 p.m., breaks on Golf Channel at 2 p.m. for the PGA Tour, comes back at 6 p.m., goes all the way up to 8 p.m. Anytime I see air times that brings golf into prime time, all in. Absolutely love it. Saturday and Sunday, start time at 3 p.m. on NBC. Again, all Eastern. As to the PGA Tour, and I'll bring you through the television times for the PGA Tour. I'll bring you through the ESPN Plus times for the PGA Tour and the National PGA Tour radio coverage. So Thursday and Friday from 2 p.m., aforementioned, the RBC Heritage. You can find it on Golf Channel. It goes up to 6, and then at 6 p.m., Chevron comes back. Saturday and Sunday, on Saturday at 1 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m., you can get the coverage of the RBC Heritage. This is a signature event on Golf Channel. And then at 3 p.m., it kicks over to CBS. ESPN Plus, PGA Tour Live, Thursday and Friday at 7:30 a.m. If you're not really familiar with ESPN Plus, if you've been thinking about it, you're looking at these times going, the times, they overlap. That's because ESPN Plus isn't a channel. It is channels. It is platforms that are multiple. There is no, I mean, I watch tons of sports on ESPN Plus. Baseball, hockey, you name it. Thursday and Friday at 7:30 a.m. is mentioned. Saturday and Sunday at 7:15 a.m. is when the RBC Heritage. All these times, again, are Eastern. PGA Tour Radio. Thursday and Friday from noon, Saturday and Sunday from 1 p.m. PGA Tour Radio can be heard on the PGA Tour app, on PGATour.com, or if you subscribe to the national satellite service, SiriusXM. Okay, so those are all the air times. Andrew, would you mind pulling up the notables in the RBC Heritage for us one more time? Now here, as Dom was discussing, we already know who the featured groups are, and they are represented with the asterisk there. You can see 9:05, Tony Finau, Adam Schenk. At 10:30 a.m., as you would expect, I would hope, Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth. At 10:40 a.m., Wyndham Clark and Sahith Theegala. At 10:50 a.m., keep it rolling, Max Homa and Tommy Fleetwood. At 1:40 p.m., Ludwig Aubert and Rory McIlroy. In a field where pretty much pick any time you want. I mean, you look at the ones that aren't getting it. 1:50 p.m., Colin Morikawa and Xander Schauffele, not on featured group coverage because it's a packed field. I'm sure that'll rotate as the week progresses and the weekend progresses. So other than that, what I did want you guys all to know, I told you about the presser with Brian Harman, where amongst the questions that he got asked by the media, which is the value of an assemblage of people asking questions, was he was asked, what happened at the Masters? When was the last time you shot a 47? Now, we probably all already know what his answer is going to be to that, but we have it for you. It'll be posted on this YouTube channel, the Fairways of Life YouTube channel. Matt Fitzpatrick, defending champion, a major champion himself, addressed at Medium. We'll have it posted for you right here on this YouTube channel. We will post independently the Nelly Korda sound. If you want it, if you take a chance and listen to it on your own, its entirety, and get another opportunity, as John Burkett has provided it to us, broke it up. Lydia Ko asked about how her game is coming into this week. Lilia Vu, what's her mindset coming back as defending champion? Rose Zhang, she's debuting at this event. Again, all this sound is going to be posted. You'll hear Stacy Lewis, that entire cut that we just featured for you. Angela Stanford as well, her 98th start in a major, a march towards 100, asking about how she is feeling. So you can find it all there. And if it is, for your friends or for your reference later on, this channel and the content that we put on here is your 24/7, free of charge, anywhere where you live around the world, archive for anything that we've already done. It's always here available to you when you want to consume it, how you want to consume it, where you want to consume it. It's all right there. So thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Dom, for hanging with us as we went long today. Really long today. Sorry about that. But it was fun getting a chance to kind of flesh through some of these bigger subjects. Thank you, too, to David Abeles for joining us on the Golf Channel side earlier today. I think it was really and is really important to hear from people like that, and we will continue to make that happen for you, we promise. And until we are together again, wish you guys the very, very best. Enjoy the golf that lies before us. Can't wait to review it with you on Monday. Until then, bye for now.